Hey everybody, Kenny here. Before we get started, I'm just including this little disclaimer that I will be using at the start of each of my Diablo 4 planning videos. Initially, I was going to create one long video that I was just going to add timestamps for, but when I did that with my Octopath Traveler 2 video, despite the fact that it is one of my more successful videos on my channel, I think from the analytics that I saw in that video that the length may have been a little intimidating, which caused it to not get as much traction as it probably would have if I had just released a bunch of shorter videos that each showcased a different character. So instead of doing one long video, I'm doing a bunch of shorter videos on all of my tips and my build planning that I will be putting into a playlist, and then each of these videos will just kind of refer back using this disclaimer here, just to set expectations of what's going to be coming here. These are all going to be essentially theory videos, while most of this has practical application already known due to all of the data mining on the available build calculators and practical experience from playing through the various beta events, as well as what we know from other YouTube groups. Everything here is still potentially going to change once the game actually comes out. We don't know for certain what's going to be what. We just know what we've seen and what's available to us to see. So take everything that you see in any of these videos with a grain of salt. So with that out of the way, let's get going. You are a wild cranberry. So this time we're going to be going over my Barbarian build. Before we get going, I know that the thumbnail I have up may kind of seem like this is me kind of dissuading people from wanting to try out the build that I'm about to show here. But that is not the case. What that text is about is I was trying to think of a good Barbarian quote. And all the good ones I could think of were from Conan. They were all too long. I didn't think of by Crom until like right before I started recording. So I went with that one because it's a it's a quote from the character Ashton Greymore from the third campaign of Critical Role, who is obviously the party barbarian. And even though, that character doesn't really have much to do with the build I'm doing here, it was the only good Barbarian quote I could think of that I could fit into that tight space. So this is going to be my Hammer of the Ancients Barbarian. This is entirely a big ol' basher build where we're using a big two-handed hammer to smack the crap out of everything. That's the fun I'm looking for, and it's the fun I always like to have. So with that in mind, obviously we're going to be starting with Bash. Bash has a 1.25 attack speed multiplier, it generates 10 fury, has a 50% lucky hit chance per hit, which means that it's one of the better lucky hit proccers in the game. So let's say you have a skill with a lucky hit proc of 70%, then this will mean that 35% of the time so basically every 3 hits your lucky hit will proc. So that's the math we're going for here, and it's not really all that necessary to have that, but who knows, maybe maybe we'll get some legendary affixes on our gear that will make it that you'll want lots of lucky hit chance stuff. I don't know. The main reason we're taking this is because the enhancements to it make it that when we damage a stunned enemy with Bash, we grant some base life as Fortify, and that amount is doubled if you're using a two-handed weapon. And as I said, we're all about the big two-hand hammer life, so that is going to be the case. And we're heading towards Combat Bash, so that after 4 crits with our basic attack, we're guaranteed an overpower with our next core attack. Of course, we're grabbing that enhanced bash there. Then in the core area here, we're going to be going, as I mentioned, Hammer of the Ancients. Hammer of the Ancients has 1.1 attack speed multiplier. So it's not really something that you could set yourself up to spam all that hard, but it does have a multiplier, so spamming is an option. So the way this build is going to be set up, we won't really be spamming it, but we'll be trying to get as close as we can. The upgrades we're going for here, with the enhanced Hammer of the Ancients, you get more fury for each enemy damaged by the skill, which stacks up to 10 times. And the main reason we're going Hammer of the Ancients is this little bad boy here, Furious Hammer of the Ancients, which makes it that we deal additional damage for each point of fury you had when you used it. The goal will be to reach our maximum fury before using Hammer of the Ancients. Always be our intention. Are we going into Endless Fury? Since this makes it that we generate more fury when you're using a two-handed weapon. As I mentioned, we will definitely be using a two-handed weapon. Grabbing that unlocks the defensive tier. And the defensive skill that we will be going for is Iron Skin. If you watched my mechanics build guide, you know that this is my preferred defensive skill, since it not only gives you some barrier based on your missing life, but one of the upgrades to it is that you heal for 10% of the barrier's original amount. Now we could go for the strategic Iron Skin for the base life Fortify, but this is personally, to me, like the best skill in the game, is going and grabbing the tactical Iron Skin here. Because you can go and just heal up between combat encounters once you have this. It was something that I used all the time during the beta. We'll also be grabbing some Imposing Presence for the additional max life. I'll put another point into Endless Fury here. Now that we're down in the brawling area, the only skill we're going to be going for here is Warcry. And we'll be going for Warcry. Warcry itself is a shout skill that increases your damage based on the number of enemies nearby. But the main reason we're taking this doesn't really have to do with Warcry itself. It has to do with the fact that there is an upgrade to this that makes it that with Mighty Warcry, you gain 15% of your base life as Fortify. So you Warcry, you gain some Fortify, and it also starts berserking, which, why not? It's not, this isn't a berserking build, but if we got it, why not? Down in the Weapon Master area, we're not going to be taking any of these skills here. None of them fit into what we're doing. But we will be investing in Thick Skin so that when we take direct damage, we fortify for a percentage of our base life. All the way up to 1.1% base life as Fortify each time we take direct damage. And since Fortify is a big part of our build, we will be taking Counteroffensive so that when we have more than 50% of our life as Fortify, we deal increased damage. And we'll also be going to Defensive Stance so that we gain additional damage reduction while we're fortified. This opens up the ultimate tier, which in here we will be grabbing Iron Maelstrom, and the first upgrade, which gives us increased crit chance. and increase crit damage with Iron Maelstrom, but we will not be going for the final one because we won't be swapping weapons with this. Like, we aren't going to be going two-handed bludgeoning to two-handed slashing to dual wielding. We're not doing that. We're only grabbing this because it's a decent, quick, extra damage thing. And that's really it. Like Call of the Ancients and Breath of the Berserker, neither one really does anything that would improve what we're going for with this build. Like, if I was going Upheaval, or Whirlwind, then Call of the Ancients would probably be pretty good. But, in Breath of the Berserker, yeah, we gain Unstoppable, and our basic skills make it that we can gain Berserking, but like I said, neither one are like what we're going for with this build, since it's really all about Hammer of the Ancients. But just having another skill that, cooldown that we can use to throw out some extra damage every now and then is all we're really going for. We'll be putting some points into Tempered Fury to increase our max Fury by 9 points. Also be going into Invigorating Fury so that we heal we heal 9% of our life for each 100 Fury we spend. Also be investing in Heavy Handed and Brute Force, which makes it that our overpowers deal increased damage when using two-handed weapon. And for our key passive, we will be taking Unbridled Rage, which brings everything together. Because what Unbridled Rage does is we deal 135% increased damage with our core skills, but our core skills cost 100% more Fury. But as you can guess, the goal that we're going for here is to start increasing our maximum Fury by as much as we can. Because the more our Fury increases, the bigger the damage gets on this. And since we're going to be consuming 70 Fury each time we use this skill, obviously we're going to need a lot if we want to use this more than once. But as with all my builds, once we reach this point, this is where I will step back and start refunding to try out every single build to make sure that Hammer of the Ancients isn't what I really want to go for. Now, during the beta, I really liked doing a Flay build with Hammer of the Ancients, Iron Skin, Rallying Cry. I'm sorry, not Rallying Cry, Challenging Shout. So Challenging Shout with the Enhanced Challenging Shout upgrade that gives you bonus life, and the Strategic Challenging Shout that causes us to gain thorns equal to 30% of our max life, as well as going and getting all of the Outburst upgrades and Tough as Nails, which with the Flay upgrade that makes it that when we flay, you gain thorns and the thorns stack. Again, it was a very fun build, to go and doing the bleeding and thorns with all the shouts and all defensive stuff going on. And well, I really liked that. The thing that piqued my interest immediately when I looked through all the skills during beta was this. This is the thing that I've been chomping at the bit to try ever since I played the first day in beta when I made my barb. I was like, that's what I want. I want this. And I want this to go with this. Because this is Big Bonk. And I want Big Bonk. Yeah, so once we've tested everything, and I'm sure that I like this more than I like any of the other possible skill combinations. I already know that I'm not going to like Whirlwind. I didn't like Whirlwind in beta. I'm not going to like Whirlwind now. I wasn't a fan of Upheaval in beta. I'm probably not going to be a fan of Upheaval now. Double Swing, I tried doing a whole Berserking Frenzy Double Swing build thing. I wasn't a fan of it. I always liked Frenzy in Diablo 2, but in Diablo 4, it just doesn't feel the same. It feels awkward to me to play that way. But I really liked Hammer of the Ancients. and rend. So Hammer of the Ancients, rend, play, and bash are well. Lunging Strike is cool. Like, I like Lunging Strike because it gives you a distance closer, and it has some interesting upgrades like you can add bleed to it, or you can initiate berserking with it. So there's lots of like neat stuff you can do with Lunging Strike. But like I'm not looking for anything that requires a. I mean, I guess it doesn't necessarily require a slashing weapon. It doesn't say it does, but I'm about the bash, so. The ones I'm sure that this is the build that I want to go for, that is when we will move into the full build. Which of course means that we move all the way up to Combat Bash here, get the overpowered upgrade, we fully invest in Bash, we fully invest in Hammer of the Ancients. We'll also be grabbing Pressure Point here to add some vulnerability to our build, because vulnerability is one of the damage buckets that you kind of need to have in some way in your build. And if you don't have it, then you're causing yourself a lot of damage. And unless your build is very much built around taking less damage, then you want to be dealing as much damage as possible. Of course, we capped out Endless Fury here. Capped out Iron Skin. Oh, accidentally picked the wrong upgrade here. I'll fix that for the link that I'm going to include in the description of the video. We capped out Imposing Presence and Martial Vigor, so we have a little bit of extra damage reduction from elites. We only have the 1 point in Warcry because we're really only taking this so that we have a way of getting ourselves some Fortify. As we mentioned before, we want to cap out all of these. And then capped out Heavy Handed and Brute Force, as well as Tempered Fury and Invigorating Vigor. And with that, that's all of our core skill. Well, that's all of the skills for the build. But now we go into, yes, I'm going to say it again, the pie in the sky Paragon board build. So just like with all of my builds, we go for magic nodes, we go for rare nodes, and these are going to be getting us armor, life, physical damage, more life, more armor, more physical damage. And if we can get it, we want to use our glyph socket here for the Crusher glyph, which makes it that all strength nodes in the range. We make it that we deal increased damage while wielding a mace. Since this is a two-handed bludgeoning build, we're all about that. If we meet the stat requirements for it, we'll also deal increased overpowered damage while wielding mace. Then from the starting board, we'll be going into Bonebreaker. Inside of Bonebreaker, we'll be grabbing magic nodes and rare nodes from here, which get us more damage reduction while fortified, gets us extra fortified generation, more life, more armor, even more damage while fortified, damage while healthy, so lots of wiles in here. So we got lots of wile bucket, increased damage with two-handed bludgeoning, increased overpower damage, even more overpower damage, more damage reduction while healthy. And if we can get it, we want to use the glyph slot here to get the Dominate glyph, which will increase our overpower damage based on the willpower that we've purchased in range. And if we satisfy the willpower requirement, then we will get the additional bonus that after not overpowering for 30 seconds, your next attack will overpower. We have a guaranteed overpower if we get super unlucky and for 30 seconds we happen to never get an overpower, which will, like as I mentioned, it's going to be unlikely with this build because of the fact that we have the upgrade that we took for Bash. But who knows? Then for this board here, the legendary is Bonebreaker, which makes it that overpowers with our two-handed bludgeoning weapons, stun enemies for a number of seconds, and grant us number and grant us a percentage of our maximum life as fortified. Now, what those numbers are, I don't know. You're seeing the same thing I am. It says number. Number of seconds, percentage. I have no idea what the actual numbers are. I'm taking it in case it's good. Then from Bonebreaker, we move into Warbringer. And Warbringer, we'll be grabbing more maximum fury, of course. A little bit of fury on kill. More life and fire resistance. More damage while fortified. More fortified generation. Increased damage. More maximum fury. More life. More resistances. More physical damage. And if we can get it, we want the Undaunted Glyph, which makes it that for all of the willpower we purchase in the range of the glyph, we deal increased damage while fortified, and we gain damage reduction for the more fortified we have. And our legendary here makes it that for every 75 fury you spend, you gain 12% of your maximum life as fortified. So, as I mentioned, for this build, we want lots of extra fury. So much extra fury. So we grabbed all of it. We grabbed all of that bonus fury. This is just fury on kill. Doesn't matter to us. We wanted all that extra max fury. We made sure we invested enough willpower to be able to guarantee that we're able to satisfy this requirement. This requires 350 willpower to be able to get that additional +8. And this one requires 360 willpower to get that extra +8. So made sure we're able to satisfy that requirement no matter what, even if our gear doesn't end up applying to these requirements. So with all of that extra willpower, we are guaranteed to be able to Hammer of the Ancients multiple times, which means that we will regularly be gaining that extra 12% of our max life as fortified on top of all the other fortified we're going to be getting. Yeah, so we are going to be a fortified powerhouse going and smacking enemies for the biggest bonks imaginable. Just bonk town all the way. So that's my Barbarian build. If there's something you're interested in, or just appreciate some of these tips for helping you suss out how you want to plan your own builds. And you like listening to this old man talk about RPGs, then I appreciate doing all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, Ve Victus, Virus and Numeris, and bye.